Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's a brand new year, and it's the same old show. You are tuned in to the Rocksmith live stream that we do every week here from Ubisoft Studios San Francisco. My name's Dan Amrick. I'm the community developer on behalf of Rocksmith, and over the next musical hour, we will take a lovely journey into the world of Paramore. We have a six-pack from Paramore, and man, the requests were high for this, so very happy to finally fulfill this one. It's a six-song pack, but we're going to play four of them today because we have other things to do as part of our jobs. So let's kick it off with a trailer. You can see all six songs that are in the pack. We'll come back. We'll play some. We'll give some stuff away from Ernie Ball. We'll take your questions. It'll be the same old fun shenanigans, but with a brand new coat of paint. So thanks for being here, and kick it off with music, and we'll be right back. That's what you got to kick off 2018, a six-pack of Paramore, 4 of which we will play today. And yeah, as some people have noted, our usual moderator, UB Vertigo, is not available today. Instead, we have the lovely and talented Black Widow 9. You may recognize her from the Ubisoft forums, in fact, because she's been, oh boy, she's been slinging out justice as our sort of forum Batman for years there. So say hi to Black Widow. Black Widow is actually going to be your best friend today because she's in charge of all of our giveaways. We're going to be giving away some DLC for the entire 6-song Paramore pack for Steam users. We're also going to be giving away 2 Ernie Ball prize packs full of wonderful strings and accessories that just about anybody out there, wherever you are in your guitar or bass journey, we made sure that there's stuff in here that you can use. So good luck to you. We'll get into that a little bit after our first song, which is about ready to be played. Still Into You by Paramore is being our first one, and joining us for the first song is Jason Kokel and the one and only Sharon Marmito back on the air. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Dan.
When you're not around, people ask where you are.
Well,
So I'm glad you were able to make it.
I'm usually in the chat room, so say
Yeah.
hi.
So what's your chat name? Do you want to tell people, or are you undercover?
I don't remember actually which one I'm in there as.
Excellent. Kokel, you did the note track, I guess, by default, because Sharon's the person who helps organize who does what note tracks when among her many her responsibilities on the team.
That's right.
Do you have anything that you want to let us know about this song, particularly? What kind of techniques we're going to see, or?
Sure. With this one, there's a lot of palm mutes in the verses. It's a fairly repetitive line that happens a lot in the lead, and actually in the rhythm too. It's fairly repetitive, and I believe the bass is as well, somewhat.
Yeah, sounds like it's the same.
Yeah. So the rhythm and lead are very distinct parts. So you have more to choose from, and if you're playing guitar, you pivot back and forth between the two. There's hardly any repeated material amongst both of those. So it's a unique playing experience for both guitar parts.
All right. Cool. Want to do
Fun
it?
song, yes. I would love to.
Let's do it. It's in
about
drop D.
I'm ready.
You ready?
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
the bass is in C# standard. Which
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of
Fun.
like bizarre tunings where both instruments are not always in the same place.
Yeah.
But thank you for braving the C# standard.
I had to use a different one. I usually use the Thunderbird, but this is
Yeah.
kind of better equipped to for this tuning.
This is David Stevens approved too, so you can't go wrong there.
Oops.
What's happening?
We lost everything.
We lost
audio,
playback, guys.
Everything.
It's now saying I'm missing every note.
Oops.
Oops.
Beep.
Happy New Year! See, I knew if we turned the machine off for like even 3 weeks at a time, we would run into tech problems.
Yeah, it
Nice.
gets cranky.
Yeah, we
it's
should
To
have
get
just
the
left it
one
on.
out of the way, you know?
Yeah. No, that's fine. I'd rather have it happen now and then never again for the rest of the year, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what's going on is that Brian Pody and Travis Kindred are fixing everything, because the whole reason we're streaming basically in pretty 1080p and with the setup that you're used to seeing is that they made it work. So they're just reminding us that they have the power to take it away as well. That's my guess. Okay, this is where I officially do the host thing, and I fill. How are your holidays?
You want to go for that?
I didn't think it was that hard of a question.
So exciting. No,
Well, you had mentioned before we left that you had just gone on a trip to China.
yes, I was in China and I was in the Philippines,
Right.
like right before the holidays. So like Thanksgiving, and then spilled into a little bit of December.
So you just chilled.
So yeah, so I just chilled a lot. I stayed local, played a lot of video games, and hung out with family. You know,
That's good.
it's nice and relaxing.
Relaxing,
It was,
good.
like, it was cool. Yeah.
Cool. Mr. Kokel, you've got little ones, so is Christmas a magical time?
Yeah, it's interesting when your little one is
Interesting.
3
Yes.
and your bigger one's 19. It's pretty, wide range. But yeah, we had a good time. We just stayed home, and daycare was off for several weeks. So it was nice to be able to spend time with Huxley. But also because he's 3.
Right. So it's like
It's
as nice as it is.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely letting us know how it's going to be sometimes.
Right. Hey, groovy. I see signal.
just-
I think we're back
Gotta
on
switch
track.
Switch cable.
Oh,
aside.
switch
Yeah,
cables.
there we go. I think.
Well, that's
Yeah.
good.
So yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it was nice to not have to do a whole lot of traveling around.
Right.
Because when he was born, he was born, and when he was 3 weeks old, we went down and saw all of our family shortly after we were. And that was
Right. That's a
exhausting.
slog.
When you have a newborn, but. We got through it, and then we said never again.
Yeah.
And we haven't. We have gone down there for. The
We'll send
holidays
you
since
video
then.
chats
Yeah.
and photos,
Yeah.
and that's all you need from us ever again. Well, good. All right, well,
Cool.
then let's try Still Into You again. This is one of the 4 songs from Paramore that we're playing today, but there are 6 in the pack. After this, we will give away the first of the Ernie Ball prize pack. Yeah, first let's see if we can make through the song.
Yeah, I'm still into this song.
Good. That's good.
So, yeah, give it
You're funny.
another. Thanks. Here we go.
Funny.
Can come through this on hand, make the band together. I need the other one to hold you, make you feel better. It's not a walk in the park to love each other, but when our fingers interlock, can't deny you're worth it. 'Cause after all this time, I'm still into you. I should be over all the butterflies, but I'm into you. And baby, even on the worst nights, I'm into you. Let it wonder how we got this far, 'cause I don't really need to wonder at all. After all this time, I'm still into you. Recount the night that I first met your mother, and on the drive back to my house, I told you that I loved you. You felt the weight of the world fall off your shoulder. And to your favorite song, we sang along to the start of forever. And after all this time, I'm still into you. I should be over all the butterflies, but I'm into you. And baby, even on the worst nights, I'm into you. Let it wonder how we got this far, 'cause I don't really need to wonder at all. After all this time, I'm still into you. Some things just make sense, and one of those is you and I. Some things just make sense, and even after all this time, I'm into you.
Dan, do you happen to have a spare pick?
I do.
Thank you.
What's wrong with your pick?
Oh, he dropped off it. Stop rocking so hard, Jason.
Yeah.
So into it.
All right, so all of the chat, I'm sorry, Jason. All of the chat has been about how awesome Sharon is. So
great.
Sharon is killing it. Sharon killed that fill. Sharon is more confident in front of the camera now, too. Not as shy as she was the first time. Bisco Bid says, I'm always impressed with how well Sharon dances around the fretboard. Yeah, and yeah, her fingers really do fly around it, and so people like seeing you play, and people think that you did a great job today.
Thanks, everybody.
no-
Yeah.
Yeah, groovy.
Yeah, it's fun.
You
I said this one was challenging, and I said,
You did.
I don't know if I really want to play it, but it's okay. It's fun. This one was really, really fun, even though
Yeah,
it was
no,
a
it's-
little
it's-
challenging for me.
A couple people are mentioning that. They were like, gee, I didn't really know this song well, but it looks fun, and it sounds fun, and it's catchy as
Yeah.
hell. And yes, it's very poppy, but not as a negative thing,
Yeah.
much as just like, hey, it's a lot of fun. Were you playing lead or rhythm on that one?
Lead. That was the lead part.
But there were pretty interesting like chord shapes towards the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in earlier in the song, the chorus has this arpeggiated part. And then eventually, he just plays them as chords. He'll
Right.
just play. Yeah, he'll play those same shapes in the bridge, and also at the very end of the song, starts playing some of those shapes as chords. The neat part is there's a part where this is labeled as D minor because the bass is playing D, but that same shape with B flat in the bass is a B flat major 7, and we're notating it both ways to teach you
To
that
recognize,
the
yeah.
shape. It contextually means something different depending on what's happening in the song. So there you go.
Cool. No, that's
Yeah.
that's worth bringing up.
Yeah, and also, if you might want to have a spare pick on hand.
Yeah, no, I mean, we,
Luckily we have some here, but
There's, like,
Yeah.
three
as
back here, too.
a player, it's nice if you have one like sort of they sell clip-on pick
Yeah.
holders is there, or sometimes you'll put one in the middle. And I'll usually do that as an
rolls of
emergency.
duct tape along here is what I
Yeah,
always
that's
see,
also
you know.
yeah. People, yeah. If you don't want to have like,
We'll have
sort
our
of
roadies
sticky-
get on that. We'll outfit all the guitars.
Yeah, but
so
it's I'm saying like to you as the player at home,
Yeah.
if you ever are concerned about dropping a pick, have spares. I didn't, and that's what happened to me. So, yeah.
No, that's the perfect segue too, because if you need picks, we have a giveaway now that we're going to give away picks, including the picks like we use here in the real world. This is what our Ernie Ball prize pack is right now, and as you can see, yes, a dozen picks from our friends at Ernie Ball, plus 3 of the very special pink Skullboy picks that Jason was using and dropped. But honestly, they're pretty well textured. And they're 0.88 millimeters, so they're a little bit chunkier than a standard medium. They're sort of a medium heavy, and so you'll find that they're pretty stiff, but they've still got some give. So you'll win that, and you'll also win everything else that's on the screen too. You're going to get a brand new strap. I forget what color they are right now. I think they might be silver. I'm totally not sure. I guess it'll be a surprise to both of us, except I'll find out the surprise first because I'm going to be packing the boxes myself. You're also going to get brand new strings for both your guitar and your bass. What's that, you say? You don't own both? Well, this is a good way to make a friend, because if you have somebody who you know is into guitar or bass, and you're not, then hey, this is the kind of gift that you should keep on giving, as it will be appreciated. You'll also get a peg winder, which makes changing those guitar strings a heck of a lot easier. And also, of course, the Ernie Ball Wonder Wipes system, which is pre-moistened towelettes, except that they are pre-moistened with like specific things like string cleaner or guitar polish or fretboard moisturizer, so that you can make sure that the guitar always feels and plays as good as it possibly can. One person's gonna win all of this stuff. Actually, later on in the show, we're actually gonna give another one of these away. But right now, just one winner, and of course the raffle is ongoing. Black Widow 9 is in our chat room. She is your moderator today, and she is going to be the person who picks the random winner, courtesy of our friends at MooBot, and of course at Ernie Ball. So thank you to Ernie Ball for giving us all the groovy prizes. And I don't know if you were here for our holiday stream, but they kicked in some really nice gear for the holiday stream giveaways too. Note on that, if you were here for our holiday streams way back in December 11th, believe it or not, people were really slow to get their addresses in, so it took a little while. But everything's dropped off at the mailroom. I think the last thing that has not actually gone out yet are the customized Rocksmith straps that we made. So those prize packs, I think, are still going to go out. I think they're probably going to go out FedEx because of the way that I packed them. But everything else should be either at your place or on its way. I do know that the person who won the Epiphone Explorer Pro 1 pack did receive her prize, so that's super cool. Hey, bringing back some more folks here to the studio. Look, it's not only Brian McCune, but it's the one and only Shane Gann, back from tour, back from Hail the Sunland. Hi.
Hi.
How's it going?
So it's going.
Are you home for any? Well, for those who don't know, Shane is the guitarist in Hail the Sun. How would you describe your film?
He's a guitarist.
I am one of.
I thought you were the guitarist.
There are two of us.
Oh,
Yeah.
so do you guys have like fights?
Yeah.
Oh, good. How would you describe Hail the Sun's music if people haven't heard it or haven't, say, downloaded the 2 DLC tracks that they can download in Rocksmith?
I would describe our music as somewhat technical, a little aggressive, high energy, fun rock.
All right. Well, good luck
like that.
sorting that on the databases
Google it.
online. Yeah,
And
Google
it'll
it.
show up first.
Hailthesun.bandcamp.com is probably the easiest way to get directly to your music if you want
Yeah.
to do it.
I'm sure Elliot's already.
Yeah,
put the link in the
it's
chat.
oh yes, there it is. Moobot and Elliot has triggered. Look, you have a thing. It says check out Shane Gann's band Hail the Sun at hailthesunbandcamp.com.
Well, I would like Elliot. I would like for you to update this. I would like for you to add Sufferer. to
Yeah,
the
that's a
list.
good thing.
Let's bring that up. Have we
Okay.
talked about it on the stream
I
yet?
don't believe
Once a
so.
long
Maybe,
time
yeah,
ago.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
But not lately.
So when did it go live? We'll describe what it is, but when and when did it go?
Suffer is a project that I put together that is all about anxiety and depression. It's an album that details a day in the life of somebody who suffers. And it's told through 3 voices, one being, I'll put it in the middle, one being the guy who suffers, and then to one side you could have the voice of his anxiety in his head, and to the other the voice of his depression in his head. So the album, 10 tracks, starts when he wakes up, ends when he goes to bed, walks you through a day. It's heavier even than Hail the Sun. It's a little more
Yeah.
aggressive,
Definitely.
but it's definitely supposed to be
Especially
appropriate.
vocally and drumming wise and vocally, I'd say. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and guitar tone wise.
Guitars, yeah, they're a
And-
little
and content
rougher.
and
Yeah, everything. But it's
Yeah.
hopefully it's appropriate.
yeah.
Yeah, that came out in November last year after being incepted in 2014. So it took
yeah,
quite some
that was a
time.
long-term project. I remember you talking about it a while ago, and you guys did crowdfunding for that.
We did, yeah.
Because I funded it, and I was like, oh look, I got the album.
Yeah.
I'm going through. I'm reorganizing all of my music collection, and I found both Sufferer and my Hail the Sun stuff. And I'm like,
Nice.
all right, kind of get them all
Nice.
together. Somebody's mentioning one of your musical projects, Brian McCune, manager of
that?
musical content.
Which one?
Nico Back 717 says, Mr. McCune, I checked out On Top of the World, and I just wanted to let you know I love it. Beautiful intro and solo. Now, did you play the intro and solo on that, or
all
was that was Matt Montgomery?
Matt Montgomery was the singer-songwriter on that record. So that was a 5-track EP called Petty Troubles.
Which I mistakenly called Pretty Things for like
You
3 or
did.
4 shows. But yes, the album is called Petty Troubles. By the way, in case you're wondering, we're still having a few tech problems, so that's one of the
Yeah.
reasons that we're just talking about music.
Yeah, and so Matt was the singer-songwriter on that record, and he asked me to orchestrate it. So he commissioned me and hired and crowdfunded also like an orchestra. We recorded it live in one room in one day. Travis is also on that record on "Wishing on a Fallen Star."
Oh.
So, because it was the only acoustic-based track on the record, everything else was electric, and Matt used another friend. Anyway, this is all to say that was almost 5 years ago now, which is pretty wild to think about. But yeah, that was Matt Montgomery's tunes and my orchestrations.
It was very nice. And there's video out there of
Yeah.
you guys. Yeah, so that you can see Brian conducting an orchestra in
Yeah.
an Oakland loft.
Yeah, that no longer, sadly, no longer exists. That was
Yeah.
Brendan West's space, and
Yeah.
it was of legend. And Travis used to live there as well.
So did Greg.
And Greg did too. Yeah,
I
and-
slept on that couch.
Yeah. It seemed like for a long time, you between tours, you would come crash on my
I
couch,
slept
and
on
then
a lot of couches.
and then you, but also that was when you would run up to Sacramento to like work on editing or track vocals for Sufferer. So it was also a collaborative. So even though it was his own record, he was collaborating with other artists from other bands and brought people in, and he was definitely kind of the creative director of that project and owner of it. And I don't know, I'm really proud of it. And there's.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what comes next with that.
Me too.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
You know what comes next?
Paramore.
Paramore. A little bit more Paramore. Crush,
Yeah.
Crush, Crush is our next song. And thank you to Travis and Pody for working out the tech issues that we were
Shooting those troubles
vamping
down.
through. Yeah, no more troubles. Kiss them goodbye. Crush, crush, crush. Don't kiss me goodbye. You gave me the eyes like I thought you'd never ask.
Dan, your middle name is Trouble.
My middle name is Eddie. It's Edward.
nice.
Isn't that terrible? I used to lie and say
but
that it
that's-
wasn't Edward. I don't like that as my middle name.
But that's Kokel's middle name too. So.
But I'm sure it works well for him. Jason Edward Kokel. That sounds nice. But
Yeah.
mine is Daniel Edward Amrick, and so there's 6 characters in each one. So
classy.
you can take it from there. My initials spell out 666.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That means I'm the Antichrist. Nice to meet you.
Oh, hey.
Most of my
Hello.
duties here are purely
Okay.
ceremonial, but still.
Party on.
So, hey, I don't think either one of you did this note track because
Nope.
Shane, you were away on
Yeah.
tour when we did this
Twas.
stuff, and Brian, you have more important things to do.
I wouldn't say more important.
You have more things to do.
I did
I
prep
different things to do.
the session for this. I created a tempo map for Anthony to put all the notes on.
So Anthony did the note track.
Yeah,
Anthony
he did,
is the
and
note
he
tracker.
is. He's on the East Coast this week. Did you already talk about what Anthony and Chris had
I
done?
did not.
Do you want to speak about it?
No.
Can you even speak about it?
I
Let's
can't.
Let's play
Let's
the
play
song.
the song, and then maybe we can talk about it a little
He's
bit
on
later.
vacation with his wife.
Well, now he's on vacation with us, but he was out on business with Chris Wu, and Chris Wu is in Squirrely Ninja is in the chat room, so
Chris-
we'll let Chris
Yeah.
point you towards some evidence and discuss what they were doing for the ED Games Summit that they were invited to go to Kennedy Center and represent and play some Rocksmith. So, Crush 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 by Paramore is our next song, one of the 6 songs in this week's pack. After this, we'll give away some DLC codes so that you could own this yourself.
This is how the intro goes by Brian McKean.
Sorry. I was just enjoying the fact that this is C# standard.
This. If we wanna play it like a game, well come on, let's play. 'Cause I'd rather waste my life pretending than have to forget you for one whole minute. They taped over your mouth, scribbled out the truth with their lies, you little spies. They taped over your mouth, scribbled out the truth with their lies, you little spies. Nothing compares to a quiet evening alone. Just the one, two. I was just counting on that never happens. I guess I'm dreaming again. Let's be more than this now.
I feel like the song really lends itself to Shane's playing.
Yes, it does.
Don't you know
I like Paramore.
I need something to sing about. Rock and roll, don't you know, baby, we're all alone now. I need something to sing about. Rock and roll, don't you know, baby, we're all alone now. Give me something to sing about. Nothing compares to a quiet evening alone. Just the one, two. I was just counting on that never happens. I guess I'm dreaming again. Let's be more than nothing compares to a
Can't get enough chorus.
just the one, two. I was just counting on that never happens. I guess I'm dreaming again. Let's be more than
I have a whole different set of questions for you guys this time.
Yeah.
Nothing about Sharon this time.
Sure.
Here's one that I didn't really expect from Beatmaster80. He wants to know what kind of pickups you're rocking in your SG. And I said electric ones, because you've changed these several
Electric
times.
ones, yes.
That looks like a Seymour Duncan Invader, no.
This is from a Taylor electric guitar.
No
actually.
way.
They're like old and rusted.
Yeah,
right?
That's because
sweat.
Shane sweats a
grime.
lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
my-
so your bridge is from one of the Taylor solid
a
bodies that they don't
Taylor-
make anymore.
Exactly. Yes. And then this was actually your recommendation.
Oh, is that the VEH?
This is a Telestyle. Yeah, I don't remember the exact model.
Yeah, that's a guitarfetish.com. GFS pickups. They're very affordable, and I'm pretty sure that's probably a VEH, a very extra hot, is what they claim it is.
That
but
sounds
it's
like what Shane would use.
But it's
Yeah.
but it's really
Very
supposed to
extra
be like their take on Eddie Van Halen's pickup for the Brown sound. So they used the EVH, but in a different, in a non-suable way. So
Yeah.
and a couple of people noticed that you wear your guitar very high.
I actually raised this really high yesterday while I was sitting at my desk, just because it was pretty comfy and it let me like lean back in my chair and it just sits right here on me, and then I can play whenever I want and then go back to my computer.
So is this a temporary change, or is this something like long term?
I probably won't do this high on stage. Probably pull it back down to about where Brian's at.
Yeah.
Now, John Lennon was famous
I
for playing
know.
almost
It's-
underneath of his chin.
It's surprising. Well, it's unsurprising, but it's so easy to play everywhere and everything with it just being here, because your wrist and arm are so free to move wherever you want them to.
Right, you don't have to reach for anything. It's
Yeah,
all it's
exactly.
all right under your fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
You could say.
Try it out. It's really tight around the neck, and it's hard to take off your head.
Hard to take off your head?
Well, you know what he
Separate
means.
statement.
Oh, okay.
It really
okay,
is.
Okay.
Try it. Don't try that.
Yeah,
one.
all right.
Cool.
Do you have, was that your
that
only
was
set
it.
of
I got
questions?
nothing.
Okay.
No questions for you at the moment.
I don't-
Sorry.
I don't
Just
define
I'm
that.
looking,
I don't
and that
either.
was
You wear
that
yours
was it.
normal.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
I picked up shoes bass, and it was like that. And I picked it up, I started playing. I was like, why does he have it this high?
I like to wear my stuff high too.
Yeah, it was too high. It was up here. It was like,
Oh well, yeah. For a bass, that
Yeah,
seems a
yeah.
little bit high.
yeah. I was like, whatever the opposite of punk bass.
Right.
That's what that was.
Somebody suggested Alan Holdsworth would suggest that you bring it back down, and then of course the Ramones would say down at the knees or no higher.
Yeah.
You know, that's just how it is. So whatever works for you works for you. Hey, thank you both very much. Let's take a short break with a video that I don't remember. I have no idea what video is coming. I'm guessing it's a 60-day challenge video. But during this video, Black Widow 9 is ready to go with our next giveaway. She's got 5 codes for the Paramore 6-song pack for Steam players. So if you're on PC or Mac, or you're thinking about getting it on PC or Mac because it was on sale over the holidays, these 6 songs could be yours for free. We're going to have 5 winners during this break. When we come back, more songs and some new instruments and Sam Schwartz. So do stick around, won't you please? We'll be right back after these messages.
My name is Trevor Trout, and I am 28 years old. To be able to actually learn how to play the guitar and be fluent with it, and maybe even good at it, would mean a lot to me, just because, my mother is very, musically inclined. My grandfather, very musically inclined. He did the old school country. He just passed away, and that's definitely been a thing that's been driving me to pick it up, just to kind of help continue his legacy. Uh-oh, here we go. My first experience with Rocksmith was awesome. It was so much fun. I was playing for maybe 30 minutes, and I already feel like I can actually do this. I'm still kind of frustrated with the harmonics. I'm just having a hard time. These last few times, when they did throw chords at me, I was able to get my fingers in place. All right, sweet. 20 days left, and I'm much faster. I'm picking up songs much faster, progressing through them much faster. Since day one, I haven't stepped back once. I've always made steps forward. I do have a lot of room to grow, but I also have the confidence going forward to know that I can get there. I'm playing The Kinks, You Really Got Me Now, Everlong by the Foo Fighters, and Aerosmith's Walk This Way. What? What? Like, I can do that? Like, that was like my moment. That was like my aha moment. It's really cool, and my girlfriend even told me last night, she's like, I'm really proud of you. You're doing so good. Like, I can't even believe, like, where you were before. Like, this is something that you've always wanted to do, and now you're doing it. And to have her say something like that, or even be like, holy shit, that's a lot of notes that you just hit, or whatever, like, it was like, yeah, this is real. Like, I'm doing this. With my grandfather being gone now, just knowing that he's gonna be living on through me and through his music and through now my music. It's great. It really is.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Rocksmith live stream. My name's Dan Amrick. I'm the community developer on behalf of Studio San Francisco. And if you've just stumbled in, good news, you've only missed half the show. But you also missed some of our technical things, so it's going to be smooth sailing from here on out. We still have giveaways to go. We have a Q&A section coming up later. And, of course, we have Sam Schwartz here right now.
Hello, everybody.
Live and in the flesh. Hi, Sam.
Hey, man.
Happy back to New Year's and everything.
Thank you.
Did you have a good break?
I did.
You were working for some of that break. I saw you working on new music and stuff, right?
Yeah, I recorded a whole album.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
It was my friend Chris has been wanting to do, like, he's one of these guys who, like, everybody keeps telling him, like, hey, you got to record your music because it's really, it's good and everybody loves it, and it brings back memories because he's played it at camps that he's taught at. He's a teacher, and so he's like been CIT and like teacher at a camp and taught like his kids, and he brings his guitar in, and it's like, I'm like, Chris, why the hell don't you have this stuff recorded? He's like, well, I was like, not good enough. We're doing it. And so I ended up.
You made it happen.
Yeah, I made it happen with him, and I just kind of pushed him to get it done, and it was funny too because I was playing bass on the record, and I got a nasty like little blood blister.
Oh, yes, you do.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
So, yeah, the first day it was awful. Because I wasn't ready for it. Like, the day before, we did like a 3 or 4 hour rehearsal and ran everything, and everything was cool. And then we were like, okay, next day, got in there, and after like 3 or 4 songs, my hand was starting to like my fingers were like not working. I was having to play like songs with my ring finger and my thumb because that's the only things that weren't like blistered.
Or you could have used a pick.
Yeah, I did. I ended up using a pick for parts of it.
See,
but I re-recorded some of that stuff depending on the tone. Depending on the tone, I actually like the pick for some of it.
Right.
So I think the pick really worked for some songs, and the fingers worked for other songs. It just depended on what I wanted in terms of tone. But
sure.
It was really fun. We had a really good time, and it'll be out probably in March. So I'll let you guys know.
Yeah,
March or
keep us
April.
posted.
It depends on like recording studio dates, but I'll let you know.
All right. Our third song today is the only exception. This is certainly the most ballady of the 6-song Paramore pack that we're playing through this week. I promised everybody that they would see an instrument today that we have not played on the stream before. I don't think anybody has seen our acoustic bass. So part of what we in addition to the 6 platforms that everybody knows, the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and then PC and Mac, we also have a version for Rocksmith that is on iOS. And as part of our testing and stuff for both the acoustic mic, you can play through acoustic. You can play acoustic guitars through Rocksmith, using a USB microphone on your console or your PC or directly into your iOS microphone. So to make sure that everything worked, we actually went out and got a couple of more new instruments, and one of them was this acoustic bass to make sure that the acoustic bass works, and what do we need to tweak to make sure that it does. But since it went through its sort of like rigorous testing phase, it's just been sort of sitting there. And I was like, you know what? Sam said he was going to play acoustic guitar. You're playing Brian McCune's acoustic.
That's
which
the one that works. So we're
Yeah.
playing it.
And I said, oh well, if you're going to do that, and again, we are plugged in. We've got cables here, so because it'd be it's difficult to do open microphones for more than one guitar at a time, as you can imagine. But yeah, so we're playing with cables. But we are going to play acoustic just because I felt like it fit the song better. You said, oh, yeah, I can do... You're going to do the rhythm part on The Only Exception.
Right. We're going to talk about that, why I'm doing the rhythm path a little bit later.
Okay.
It's just a heads up. So instead of... can I get volume on the game? Is there... Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That's an intentional tuning. Please
That's
notice...
an intentional tuning, yeah.
When you look at the song in the list, it'll say custom tuning, and that's what it is. It's normal. Is it mostly E standard?
Yeah, it's E standard. They just tune the top string a half step down,
Interesting.
and you'll see why. So like we'll go into it. I'll go
it's
into
like a
it just-
reverse drop D.
yeah, it's like a drop
Almost.
D sharp on top. So
Weird.
not really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So I
but
don't know what I'm
there's a
talking
reason for it. We're
Okay.
going to go into why they do that, and then I'm going to show you one or two things that you can do by like just tuning a string or two here and there. It really makes a difference on your guitar and with your writing too. It's really cool.
Okay.
So we're going to go into it very briefly right after this.
Great, then let's play it. The Only Exception by Paramore, one of the 6 songs in the Paramore song pack that we have available this week. And after this, we'll do our Q&A section of the show, and I'm not in front of my laptop, but other folks are paying attention. Get your questions in now, and I'll read them back.
When I was younger, I saw my daddy cry and curse at the wind. He broke his own
I like that song a lot more than I thought I would.
Oh man.
Like I wasn't. I'm like one of those casual Paramore. Like I hear it on the radio, I don't turn it off. I sing along, I hum along, or whatever. And it wasn't until I actually played that. And again, not the hardest bass part in the world by far. Very simple. I still managed to goof it up. Which was, that's my
I was also
signature
rocking
move.
you back and forth.
You were that. I have to say, I was like, all right, I feel like I actually prepared this time, and then I'm like, oh no, we've got choreography, and where do the fingers go now? But
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
it's no. It was in the moment. You got to react in the moment.
That's true.
And yeah, it's a really fun, enjoyable song.
Yeah, it's beautifully written.
Yeah.
It's so cool, and those chord shapes are so good. And I don't know, everything about this band. The more we got into them, I was like, yo, like. What? Like I just had.
There's
to
more
really,
depth there than
there's
than
more.
I think
Yeah,
people
it's
expect.
it's one
Yeah.
of those things. Like on the surface, it could easily pass you by, but the more you dig in, it's like, whoa, there's so much cool stuff going on in here. It kind of reminded me of Incubus a little bit, where it's like there's that level of like
Interesting.
Like it's one of those things. Like if you just listen to Incubus, you're like, okay, like rock band, right? And then the more you listen to Incubus, you're like, whoa, like what are they doing? Like there is a lot going on here that's really cool. So just fascinating stuff. And one of the things that they do in this song is they tune their high string to a D sharp, right? Which is very strange because that makes the guitar sound like this, open. Right? Not like the guitar sounds great open anyway, but it really doesn't need an augmented chord on top to, make it sound that much more terrible. So the question is, why would you do something like that, right? So if you actually, if you play along with me for a moment here and assume that you have a D sharp string on top of your guitar, and if you just play the two top strings, you get this.
Right. That's very nice to hear.
That is nice to hear. So then the thing becomes, okay, well, what about if I just keep those strings open? And I, as drones, right, kind of like a pedal or whatever.
Sure.
And then I put other things on top of that to color that in, or use those as ways to color in whatever other chords I'm playing, right? So, and then you can do like.
It's actually less effort for you in fingering, but you get these beautiful sounds of these complex, unusual chords
Right,
that
exactly.
hit your ear, and you go, "Ooh, that
Right,
catches me,"
exactly.
because
You
it's
can-
not what I'm used to hearing.
It's not what you're used to hearing, yeah, because you're like, how does your guitar... I think McKeown actually talked about this when we did the Coldplay stream, and he was like, I don't get... he was listening to the guitar, and he was like, how's the guitar sounding like this on this record? I don't get it. And how do you get these like beautiful guitar shapes or guitar chords, right? And you're like, and it's because they're doing alternate tuning. So you can do all sorts of really cool stuff if you just tune your guitar a little bit differently and figure out how you get what you get if you tune your guitar just a little bit differently. So I'll show you one other thing that I found out. So like if you tune your top string down to D, right? So this is D sharp right now, and they're doing all these cool things where they're just keeping that string open, and
Right.
they experimented with a couple of different things. They were like, oh, this just sounds way prettier with that open and not having it be an E string, right? So if you tune it down to D, right, we'll do that. Right, then you actually have a G chord on top.
Mm-hmm.
So... Right, and so if you wanted to do a G chord, you actually don't have to finger this last
You
bit
just
like
do
we
the
normally do. You just
bass
have
notes,
you have
yeah.
a G chord, and then the other thing that's really cool is if you want to do cluster chords that you usually couldn't do because of the way that the strings are tuned, you actually can. So like one of the things I do this in one of my tunes where I get an A. So if you do like a major third on the D and G strings, right, you get A and C sharp and B and D. So you actually get all four notes and the first four notes in the A major scale. So it's a really cool sound. You can't get that any other way on guitar because
Right.
you have to spread your fingers like this
Too far,
too
yeah.
far because of the way that it's tuned. And then you can do something. This is a thing I do in one of my tunes where I and you can't, and it sounds like I'm do da 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 da. It's like on piano, you would just do that like with going up a scale, right? Back it down, and that's the only way that you could do that. But on a guitar, if you tune it differently, you can actually get all sorts of new sounds that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to get. Which is one of the reasons that I'm really a big proponent of like tune it weird and see what
tune
happens.
it weird and see what happens.
Yeah, like a lot of players,
a lot of songwriters say that too.
a lot of songwriters say that, and like, and one of the cool things is like, you know, if you think about like people who tune their guitar to like open G or whatever, they play in an open tuning, like, you know, there's a really good reason for that, because if you play in an open tuning, then it's like your chord is a bar. It's not like you trying to figure out some weird shape that's invented for E standard. It's like just a bar, and then you can kind of play around with that. It's very interesting to just kind of see how that all works. So I implore you to check out different types of tunings and how that affects your playing and your writing.
Yeah, don't be afraid. You might really like what you get out of it.
Indeed.
We do have some questions that have come in, and thank you for sending in those questions. I got one here. Brandon, model of the bass you were playing, Dan, asks Bitspiel. It is the Ibanez AEB-10E acoustic, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to link to it here in the chat. There it is at Guitar Center. It's about $400. It's solidly made. It's actually super easy to play. I've played some not very good acoustic basses, especially when they became sort of vogue in the 90s through the whole unplugged thing. Sort of everybody rushed to market with an acoustic bass, but making a good one is sometimes tricky, and that's a good one. Very happy about it. Speaking of which, McCreely XXXXXXXX says, do any of your on-camera note trackers play Telecasters? As a matter of fact, you are a proud owner of a. Did you have that? Is that a Fender or is that?
Yeah. I have a
but you
Fender Telecaster.
customized the hell out of it.
I did kind of like a Brent Mason pickup setup. I for a while, like it was. I found myself in a similar situation that he was in when he customized it. So he has. If you guys don't know Brent Mason, you should check out Brent Mason, because Brent Mason is one of the ultimate guitar players of all time. But Brent has he has a mini humbucker in the neck pickup of his Telecaster in the neck slot instead of the lipstick pickup, and then he has an STK stacked Seymour Duncan bridge pickup, which gives it this big punchy sound. And he actually has another pickup that I don't have, where you can mix in like a little bit of Fender Strat tone. But
nice.
I don't have that. But I mean, I would.
But you would like that.
I mean, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't
mind
say
one
no.
of those. But the reason he did that was because he was broke and needed a guitar that sounded like 5 guitars, because he couldn't buy a Les Paul and an L5 and, you know, all these other things. So he had to have one that sounded like all of those. And so that's why he has that pickup set up. So, and that's kind of why I did it too.
Yeah, and we have a Telly in the office. We have just a Squire blonde Telly.
That thing's great.
Yeah, it's good value for the money. But again, like that's part of we try to get a lot of different kinds of guitars to see how they will react with Rocksmith on all the different platforms to make sure. And some of them just become people's sort of like, I'll adopt this one and use this for work as well. Sure. But then whenever it's like, hey, have we tested this with Telly pickups? Okay, well here, let's do it. You know. So I got a couple more things. What is the thought process, asks Yeti Soapmaker, what is the thought process behind the way chords are built up with dynamic difficulty? The way it is now, as soon as I get used to playing the chord, it adds another note. But that is kind of the goal of the dynamic difficulty system, right? When you guys are building these stages to get people warmed up into getting their fingers comfortable with being where they need to be to play chords, the idea is once you've done it, you know, those partial chords, that's when you drop in extra notes to fill out that chord structure, right?
Yeah, kind of. So a lot of times, if you play through it, as you're leveling up, it'll actually give you'll stay on each chord shape a little bit. So they stack. You a lot of times, like for example, you'll never see like an entire E chord build up before you get 2 notes of an A chord, if that makes sense, right? So like we'll teach you the power chord version of the E chord, and then the power chord version of the A chord, and then maybe the power chord version of the D chord. Or we'll add another note to the E chord depending on like the frequency of how much it appears in the song and the proximity of it to other chords and so forth. That's how we have to make those decisions. We have to figure out, okay, well, you know, how hard is this going to be to transition to? And so sometimes you'll see that happen where you'll have one chord leveling up a little bit faster than the other ones, but it's because we want you to be like, okay, we think it's more important for you to learn this particular chord right now, and then these will level up a little bit later versus doing it the other way.
Okay.
So that, I hope that kind of answers your question.
Sort of, I guess. One last question, then I want to get back. If I'm not answering your question on the air, don't worry. I will answer during the chat before the end of the stream. But NicoBack717 says, any chance of online multiplayer? I would love to play with the friends I have introduced to Rocksmith more often. This is a very common request, but here's the thing. What people want when they say online multiplayer is they want to play with other people. Getting the physics of sound actually make this impossible. The physics of data make it more impossible, I suppose. We can't have people hear each other in real time over like Xbox Live or PlayStation or even Steam because you can only there's a physical distance. At which point the latency becomes out of sync. And so you would play a chord and then you wouldn't hear your friend playing the chord at the same time. It's kind of, when I say it's physically impossible, it's kind of like the laws of physics and how fast data can move over broadband. So while that is a dream, unless like tomorrow Google gives everybody fiber optic, I strongly support this. It's really not a reasonable goal that we can achieve. We want to give people the opportunity to play together. But what I would recommend is invite them over. Next time that you are in their city, play with them. That's why we do have multiplayer, as you see it here, 2 people in the same room, because latency isn't an issue at that point, and you don't have to worry about the other person knowing where you are in the song. We've talked about some other systems, but that really seems to be the dream, that when people say, I want to play online and multiplayer, the way that you might play Gears of War or Destiny or something like that, so that like when you do something, your friends see you do the same thing at the same time. Unfortunately, music makes that a heck of a lot harder. So no, right now, no plans for any online multiplayer, but we do have leaderboards so that you can sort of compare yourself to your friends and stuff like that. But we're still talking about ideas of what we can do as technology evolves and as Rocksmith evolves. So it's good to know that that's something you want, but I'm sorry to tell you, it's probably not something we're going to be able to deliver anytime soon. I love ending on a down note. So if you have any more questions, go ahead and throw them into the chat room. Thanks to Black Widow and to it's Kay. I forget what his proper name is. Gabe downstairs is helping us also work out the chat. But cool. They've been cutting and pasting your questions that maybe I wasn't in front of my laptop for. So I will go through and I will answer all these, with @replies in the chat room. But in the meantime, by the way, thank you very much. Always fun to play with you. I like playing with you.
That's a fun one.
In case you missed it, we do have other songs that I thought might be a halfway decent fit. Now, Paramore does lean towards the poppier side. Many people have said that as both a criticism and a benefit this week. Depends on what your musical tastes are. If you like what you're hearing, and you would like a little bit more pop rock in your library, here are 2 bands that I personally think have kind of been overlooked. And it just so happens that my ears do have a bit of a sweet tooth as well. I like the poppier stuff generally. I grew up listening to 80s pop music and the Beatles, so those sweet harmonies and those beautiful major key things, I really dig them. So All Time Low is sort of a pop-punk band that, this came out and it sort of like disappeared. I don't think a lot of people even realize they're in the library. But Weightless is absolutely one of my favorite pieces of ear candy in our library. Check them out. You can always go to Spotify or YouTube, go to their official channels, or you can just check out our own trailers for the DLC. We intentionally include a couple of seconds of preview so that you can hear what it sounds like. All American Rejects is another one of those bands where you might know their songs even though you don't know them necessarily by name, because they got a lot of airplay and they got used in a lot of different things. Gives You Hell is one of my favorite songs. It's the one that ends with everybody singing as a crowd. If you're digging the sort of the pop rock hooks that you're hearing in Paramore, these aren't exactly the same, of course, because only more Paramore would be exactly the same, and even they have an awful lot of variety in their library. But you might like these as well. In addition to that, it is 2018, and we are still in soft launch in Canada on our iOS product. So if you have access to an iPhone or an iPad or an iPod Touch up in the Great White North, we implore you to download the free app that is Rocksmith. It's available now, and for a minor fee, you can also add in addition to the free songs that come with the program, you can add in DLC such as Paramore. We got all 6 songs this week that are also available in iOS, right? Aren't they? Yes? Oh, okay. I didn't know if they're talking to me or talking to me. Yes, Paramore is available. And in addition to Paramore, I believe we have another one up on the... Oh, we've got some more tech problems, I think, that we're trying to work out. So this is me stalling. No big deal. Yeah, Paramore is, I think we're up to over 200 songs, maybe even 250. Toy Machine SH is in our library. He's the guy that runs therifrepeater.com. And you may recognize him from being where he is up in Canada. He has played the iOS version, but he also keeps track of a bunch of data that often slips my mind. So he can tell you exactly how many songs we have in the iOS library so far. But yeah, we also have another pack out for iOS this week. And yes, finally, if you have been wanting to take your iPad over to a friend's house, or if you want to see every single note on the smallest possible screen, fire up Dragon Force on your iPhone. Yeah, Through the Fire and the Flames is now available on iOS, as is one of my other favorite songs in the library, Take It Off by the Donnas, which is pretty great, and Silver Sun Pickup's Panic Switch. So all of these are available as paid DLC, but at the same time, if you are if you just want to test it out, the program itself is free, and it comes with several free songs that you can enjoy, including Brannan Street Blues, which was one that we added after the launch of the iOS soft launch up there, and that was another song created by the folks here in the studio. So if you have the opportunity, check it out. Now, of course, the obvious question, since everybody does not live in Canada right now, the obvious question is, when is this coming out everywhere else? And I don't have a date for you yet. When I do, I will let you know. I am hoping that it will be soon, but I honestly don't know. The reason it's taking a while is because we are adding pretty significant updates to the iOS product every couple of weeks. I mean, we're patching this every 3 weeks on average. So that means that we're always rolling in not only just fixes. I think our last big patch that went out was something more than like 100 bug fixes that went through. But we're also adding more functionality and stuff, because it is not just a straight port of the console and the PC versions. It is its own version, and as such, we're building it up to be as close a parallel to so that you get the same experience. But that does take time, and rather than wait any longer, we figured, what if we throw it out there, a little early access fun, and we get some feedback from live players. And it's been really helpful. So if you do have access to it, please do continue to send us feedback, whether that's iTunes reviews or we have dedicated forums at Rocksmith.com where we're asking for feedback for this kind of stuff. All of that can work in our favor. We love hearing from you, even if it's not the best thing. You don't have to just sit there and pat us on the back and say, great job, guys. In fact, constructive criticism is the best thing for the team. So thanks for helping with that, and hopefully you get a chance to try it on iOS soon. As people scurry around, it looks like I have people in chairs with guitars and basses, and that would be Brian Pody smiling in the middle, and David Stevens on the side, who was nodding knowingly when we were talking about improving the iOS, because David is our QA lead here at the San Francisco studio. You work with our QA team out in Bucharest as well.
Yep, shout out to those guys.
Shout out to those guys. We love you. We had a few of them. They visited like 2 years ago, and they were on the stream.
Yeah, we're overdue.
We are very overdue for a return visit from those guys. But yeah, so Brian Pody is one of our note trackers and also one of our programmers. You're doing some programming work here and there and trying to tweak things on Alpaca and stuff. I thought you had worked on some of the tone stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
on the iOS version.
Whenever I jump into code, which is not often, I'm like, please,
don't break anything.
What did I do? And then it gets completely changed.
Yeah, the best way to think of computer code is miles and miles of guitar cables that are all just interdependent, and you unplug one of them and everything else just turns off. Yeah. That's basically that's how computer code works.
I'm deep in the audio side, of Alpaca.
Okay, good for you. Yes, what?
I had a quick question. Going back to our Q&A.
Oh yeah, sure.
If you feel like chords are leveling up too quickly in Remastered, you can actually customize how fast dynamic difficulty levels you up. So you can make dynamic difficulty level you up a little more slowly, so you can get used to those chords a little more before it shows you something new. You can also turn dynamic difficulty off and just lock yourself into a specific level.
That's true.
Play it as much as you want at that level.
Yeah, and that way, once you feel like you have it really dialed in, then you can turn it back on, obviously, and let the game
or just
continue
go
to
and bump
suggest.
it up a level and riff repeater yourself. And
you can always again, it's automatically there to make decisions for you because it's paying attention to how you play, possibly closer than you are paying attention to how you play. So yeah, trust the machine, but also don't be afraid to override the machine if it's really just for your comfort.
Yeah.
Good idea. Thank you. You have a lot of good ideas, Brian Pody. What are we going to be doing? This is our final song. We still have another giveaway after this song, but what are we going to be doing to close out the show here musically?
Ain't it fun?
Ain't it fun? This is actually, I mean, I think this is probably their biggest chart hit, so it's one of the ones that I heard a lot on the radio. David Stevens, you've jumped in on bass. You were quick to say, oh yeah, I'll jump in on Ain't It Fun. You like it.
The answer is yes.
The answer is all yes, it is fun. What was it about the bass that made you want to dig it? Or is it just the groove of the song?
Oh, no, it's totally the groove. It's a genuine bass line. You know, it's not the bass following the guitar.
Right.
Like you get in a lot of rock songs. It's its own animal, and it's a lot of fun. I will admit I did not prepare very well and totally forgot that there was slap at the end.
Oh.
So
yeah.
I'll be having fun with that.
The end is just that like really long groove.
Yep.
Yeah.
If Brian Pody has proven one thing on the show, it's that you don't have to practice in advance to play with Brian Pody. Just give it your best shot. It's okay. You're probably still going to get better than I did on Only Exception, and I practiced it twice, and it's a slower tempo song.
There's like 19 notes.
Yeah, I mean, some of them cycle, but there are only 19 notes. Yeah.
I tried to practice this one twice, and immediately after I started it the second time, I was interrupted.
Brian, can I get your help with something? Yeah, that's the way that it works in our
I was
going
to practice, and Sharon stole my bass.
Yeah.
Well, I told her to steal your bass because she said, "Oh wait, this one's dropped C. There's a C sharp standard on Still Into You," and I said, "Yeah, but that's okay. We have a couple of basses, and one of the basses is still with Anthony, I think, or it's being shipped. It was one of the ones that they used for the ED Games Expo at the Kennedy Center. It was the Les Paul bass, and I said, "Oh, that tunes down really well because it's very thick, but at the same time." I know that David has spoken favorably of the Gibson Explorer bass being one that handles down tunings very well. And she's like, okay, I'll use that. It looks really rock and roll anyway. I'm like, yeah, great. So you can blame me, but you can blame you because
because this song is also in C sharp.
Oh, well, then perfect. You don't even have to mess with it.
Yep.
Shall we play? And
Let's
if there's
play.
anything you want to add at the end, we certainly can. But
Yeah,
this
I
is
mean, it's just super fun.
yeah.
There's
Ain't
lots
it
of great
fun?
guitar parts.
This is one of the 6 songs in the Paramore DLC pack, the song pack that we have available this week in all platforms for Rocksmith. All 7, including all 6 of these songs, are cleared for use on iOS as well. So that's kind of great. After this, Ernie Ball giveaway, so do not go away.
I don't mind letting you down easy, but just give it time. If it don't hurt now, just wait a while. Another big fish in the pond, no more. You were what they're feeding on. So what are you gonna do when the world don't orbit around you? So what are you gonna do when the world don't orbit around you? Ain't it fun living in the real world? Ain't it good being all alone? Where you from? You might be the one who's running things. Well, you can ring anybody's bell and get what you want. So it's easy to ignore trouble when you're living in a bubble. So what are you gonna do when the world don't orbit around you? So what are you gonna do when nobody wants to fool with you? Ain't it fun living in the real world? Ain't it good being all alone? Ain't it good to be on your own? Ain't it fun you can't count on no one? Ain't it good to be on your own? Ain't it fun you can't count on no one? Ain't it fun living in the real world? Go crying to your mama.
I like that I'm playing the third or the second fret, and David's playing the third. That's not confusing at all.
Crying to Ain't it fun? Ain't it fun? Ain't it fun? Ain't it fun? Living in the real world. Ain't it good? Ain't it good? Being all alone. Ain't it fun? Living in the real world. 'Cause the world don't open up. How good ain't it good? Being all alone. You're crying to your mama.
So somebody said he is not faking the funk, and yet I kind of feel like you admitted at the beginning that you would be faking the funk, but everybody was really impressed with it, with how you handled the outro on that one. That was good. Very nice.
Yeah, they just kind of go off at the end.
Yeah, it's super great.
How can you not?
Yeah.
Joshua David in our chat room pointed out that Haley recorded those vocals on her phone.
If you go on YouTube, there are tons of just her vocal performances, and they're amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I highly recommend it.
The guitar parts are super creative too, and bass parts are killer. Like there's a lot of
the bass part on that. I
material in
totally
this.
see what you mean by saying it's its own bass part. Like it's crafted as its own musical thing, not just to support the song. Not that there's anything wrong there, but yeah, it was sort of like, well, if you're doing this, then I will do this to complement and counterpoint everything else that's going on somewhere else.
That guitar
It's
riff is a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of fun with that.
Cool. Anything else you want to add?
It's good to be back.
Is it good to be back?
Happy New Year.
Because we're all moving at like 100 miles an hour already. Like we've all been in so many meetings this week, and it's just like, did everybody enjoy? Is everybody relaxed from the vacation? Good, because it's over now.
Yeah, we've just been shoveling coal back into the
the hopper,
into the fires.
You bet. Yeah, well, I mean, DLC never stops, does it? It never stops. That's why I never take a week off.
There's no end in sight.
Yeah, I'm actually not going to be here next week. It's not because I'm not taking a week off. Brian McCune will be your host next week for next week's show because I will be going away on business. I have to go up to Montreal in January. Thanks, Ubisoft. So other than that, thank you, and it's good to have you both back.
Thank you.
It is time for that final giveaway, though. We do have another Ernie Ball prize pack to show you. Oh, there it is. Now you see it. Isn't that great? That's your prize pack. Everything that you see here is going to go home with somebody if you are the person who is randomly named by our MooBot client. So here's how this works. You need to, if you enter this raffle that is going on right now in the chat room of our Twitch channel, if you do that, then we will pick one name by random. Black Widow 9 will pick one name by random. And that name will then you're going to have to contact her over private messages here on Twitch. She will send you a confirmation that you are the winner. You need to send back your name, your address, and your phone number because that is what's going to get. Then she's going to send that information to me, and then I'm going to build a box with everything that you see here, and then I'm going to send it out to you. So I want you to get your prizes as soon as possible. That means that you need to respond to her as soon as possible, and please do include all of your information. And if you are outside of the U.S., it helps me dramatically if you format your address the way that it should probably appear, so that then I can give it to the mailroom correctly, because like I know how American addresses are structured. I've lived here my entire life, but sometimes, particularly with sort of like the Norwegian territories, the northern territories, or some European areas, you guys simply do addresses in a way that I'm not super familiar with. So if you can note where the breaks go, rather than just putting it all on one line, because sometimes that happens and it takes me a very long time to figure out how is this not going to get lost. One of the things we always ask you for is your phone number as well. And that's in case I get that wrong, then the delivery company contacts you and says, where do you really live? Dan doesn't know anything. So I wish you good luck. Everything that you saw there is going to go home. We gave one of those away earlier, so I think everybody knows you're getting Ernie Ball strings and Wonder Wipes and picks and a strap and a peg winder and a whole bit, and some of our very rare and only available here pink Skullboy Rocksmith picks. So hopefully you will get those soon. Here's what's on tap for next week, now that we're done with music. As I mentioned, Brian McCune will be your host next week for the DLC. And what DLC will that be? Well, you will get a sneak peek at it, because our friend Rolling Stone 222 is back for the new year with fresh puzzles to tease your brain in the Rocksmith.com forum. So go there tomorrow. UB Vertigo will post the puzzle sometime on the earlier side of the day. And then if you can solve the puzzle, either Doug or myself will confirm that, yes, that's what you think it is when you get it right. And then we'll tell kind of everybody else on Sunday through a Facebook post and a Twitter post and stuff. But you folks get a 48-hour jump on that if you really care about it. And if you want to play along, we try to make it fun. So there will be DLC that comes out on Tuesday, and tomorrow morning on Rocksmith.com is your first chance to figure out what that's going to be. Let's see, what else do I have to tell you about? I think I told you about Rocksmith iOS. I think I told you about the Paramore as a 6-song pack that's out right now. I think I told you that my name's Dan Amrick and I'm your community developer. And I think I told you that we're all super busy, so I think we're going to stop the show now. We will see you next week here on the stream. You will see Brian next week on the stream, and he will see you, because that's the way the internet works. So we'll leave you with another look at the Paramore 6-song track. This is our trailer for this week. Hopefully you enjoyed getting some insight into these songs. If you enjoyed the show, obviously tell your friends. We give away free stuff every week, and we always like to hear from you. We like to answer your questions live in the air, as many as we can. Of course, if you need to ask us more questions at a time when maybe we're not streaming, when it's not convenient for you, that's totally okay. Check us out on social media, at Rocksmith Game on Twitter, or /Rocksmith on Facebook. Those are probably the easiest ways to get a hold of us. And if you are having any problems with the game whatsoever, because, hey, a lot of people, hopefully you received it as a holiday gift, and maybe this is your first stream, and this is some of your first Rocksmith experience, for which I apologize that I'm your host. But if you are having any other issues, if the game's not behaving the way, or if you have some questions, not only can you ask on the forums, but you can reach out to support.ub.com. They are standing by. They have a lot of knowledge. Again, we are not a game that just came out and we don't know how it works. If you're having weird little problems with your PC, or like your cable's not being detected correctly, or you've got like latency so that you play a note but you don't hear the note through your PS4 at the same time, there are solutions to that, and our friends in the support team can really help you out. So they're at Ubisoft Support on Twitter. They're /Ubisoft Support on Facebook, I believe, and they are also just support.ub.com, and you may actually find the answer there without even having to talk to anybody. So we leave you with that Paramore trailer. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you here next week, Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. GMT, and we'll let Haley sing you out. Bye, everybody. See you next week.
I don't mind letting you down easy, but just give it time. If it don't hurt now, but just wait a while. And like the big fish in the pond, no more. You were what they're feeding on. So what are you gonna do when the world don't open up? made